Okay, so now that we know what a type 1 system of equations is, now it's time to move on to type 2. This is still under the method of what they call substitution, but a type 2 system is if only one equation is y equals, or again, it could be x equals. It's much more common for it to be y equals. Then what we're going to do is substitute. So example 1 is going to be the system x equals 3y and 3x minus 5y equals 12. So here you can see that what they've given us is that x equals 3y. So just like if it only said y equals 3, x equals 3, then you know that you would take that 3 and you would plug it in for x and then figure it out from there. In this case, they're not telling you that x is just 3, instead x is 3y, but it's still the same idea. We're going to take out x from that second equation and we're going to change it to 3y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this 3 here. So I have 3. Now I'm taking out the x and I'm changing it to 3y. And then minus 5y equals 12. And then from here, the next step is to simplify. 3 times 3y is 9y. 9y minus 5y equals 12. And then now I have like terms. 9y take away 5y is 4y equals 12. And now from here, it's just one simple wall floor divide by 4. And then we can see that y equals 3. So now, once again, we don't just write the answer y equals 3. Now we have to continue to solve this system, and we have to figure out what x is. So now that we know that y equals 3, now we use that to figure out x. So I could take the first equation. Obviously, that one looks a whole lot easier. So I'm going to take this. It was x equals 3y. We just figured out that y equals 3. So I'm going to take this 3 and substitute it in. So that now it's 3 times 3, which is 9. So x equals 9. So now the last step is to write the answer in an ordered pair. So x comma y means that this final answer is 9, 3. Okay, so that was a relatively easy example. I like to call this take it up a notch. Example 2. This system is going to be 4x plus 2y equals 16. And then y equals x minus 7. So 4x plus 2y equals 16. And y equals x minus 7. So once again, we can see that one equation starts with y equals. So this is where we're going to substitute. Since they're telling me that y equals x minus 7, then that means that I'm going to take out this y from the first equation, and I'm going to change it to x minus 7. So this first equation is going to stay the same at first. It's going to stay 4x plus 2. But when I get to y, I want to change it to x minus 7. So when I plug in the x minus 7, I need to use parentheses to show that it's the whole thing that I'm plugging in for y, and then equals 16. And then from here, you're just following your solving equations rules. The next step is to use the distributive property. This becomes 2x minus 14. I bring down the 4x, and I bring down the equals 16. And then now you can see that I have like terms that I need to combine. 4x plus 2x is 6x minus 14 equals 16. And then it's wall floor, add 14 to both sides. So that's 6x equals 30. And then one more wall floor, divide both sides by 6. So that x equals 5. And then once again, we don't just leave it as x equals 5. Now we have to take that 5 and plug it into one of the original equations. In this case, it's far easier to take this second equation because it's just y equals x minus 7. So now that we know that x is 5, now we're going to plug that in. So it's going to be 5 minus 7. 5 minus 7 is negative 2. So y equals negative 2. And then once again, as an ordered pair, it would be 5, comma, negative 2. Okay, so next, I'll give you an example. My suggestion would be to pause the video and see how much you can do on your own. So example 3 is going to be 3x plus 2y equals 32, and y equals 4x minus 6. Okay, so my suggestion, like I said, is to go ahead and pause the video. Try to solve this on your own. If you get stuck, press play again. Try to challenge yourself and press pause when you can, and then try to solve as much as you can on your own, and then click play again to check to make sure your answer is correct. Okay, so hopefully you were able to see that this does fall under the type 2 qualification because only one equation starts with y equals. So since it's y equals, then I'm going to take what it's telling me that y equals is 4x minus 6, and I'm going to replace the y in the other equation. So that first equation is 3x plus 2, and now in parentheses, I'm going to put 4x minus 6, and then back to the original equation equals 32. So that now this is very similar to example 2, where the next step is to distribute. This becomes 8x minus 12 equals 32. I bring down that 3x, and then from here it's combined like terms. 3x plus 8x is 11x. Bring down the minus 12 and the equals 32. And then wall floor, add 12 to both sides. So that 11x equals 32 plus 12 is 44. And then one more wall floor, divide by 11. So that 44 divided by 11 is 4. And now that I know that x is 4, now I take that and plug it into either of those original equations. That second one is looking a whole lot easier to me. So instead of 4x minus 6, now it's going to become 4 times 4 minus 6, because we figured out over here that x equals 4. So 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 minus 6 is 10. So now we know that y equals 10, and that makes this answer 410. And that's all there is to it. So hopefully that wasn't too difficult. As always, I like making these videos, but if there's any suggestions for improvement or anything else that I can help you with, please feel free to let me know. All right. Well, we'll see you back here for type 3. Ooh, once again, I know I'm intriguing you.